We continue now at the top of Daf Zayin Amud Beis in Meseches Nazir. This is Nazir Daf 7b. The Gemara is in the middle of explaining why we need each case in the Mishnah. The Gemara continues, V'itana shah achas. Let's say we only had the case where the person says, I am a Nazir and 1 hour. So in that case, again, we said the person does 2 terms of Nazirus. So I would have said, Mishum delo nachas ledavka. There the person wasn't so specific. That's why we assume it means 2 terms of Nazirus. Aval achas umechsa, but let's say the person says he's a Nazir 1.5. So in such a situation, the nachas ledavka, where the person is very specific, so ema lo limni tarti, I might think he doesn't count 2 terms of Nazirus. Maybe it just means 1 long term of Nazirus, which is the length of 1.5, meaning to say he's keeping 1 45-day Nazirus. That's what I might have thought. Kamash Malon, so that's what the Mishnah teaches us in all of these situations. Kulu Nazir Shtayim. In all of these cases, he is a Nazir for 2 terms. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Hareini Nazir Shloshim Yom Visha Achas. Let's say the person says, I'm a Nazir for 30 days and for 1 hour. So in that case, Nazir Shloshim Ve'echad Yom. In that case, he's a Nazir for 31 days. That is the meaning of that phrase, She'ein Nazirus L'shos, because there's no such thing as Nazirus for an hour. And Rashi explains, Ha'omer Hareini Nazir Shloshim Yom V'Sho'achas Nasa Ka'omer Lamed Aleph Yom. If a person says again 30 days and an hour, it's the same thing as saying 31 days. Ve'eno Chayiv El Lamed Aleph Yom Bilvad. He's only Chayiv in a Nazirus of 31 days. And the Gemara says, Amar Rav says, Lo Shanu Ela Da'amar Shloshim V'Yechad Yom. This is only true if the person says 31 days. Aval Amar Shloshim Yom V'Yom Echad. But let's say he uses extra language. He says 30 days and 1 day. So in that case, we understand it to mean Nazir Shtayim. There it means 2 terms of Nazirus. Rashi over here says, Amar Rav Haided Aikinan Mimasnisin D'Chiyamar Shloshim Yom V'Shah. So we said in the Mishnah, if a person says 30 days and an hour, Nasa K'mishamar Lamed Aleph, it's as if he said 31 days. Ve'eno Chai Ben Nazirus Ela Lamed Aleph Bilvad, and we say he's Chai for 1 term of Nazirus, which is 31 days. Lo Shanu Ela Damar Lamed Aleph Yom. That's only true when the person says 31 days. Avalamar Hareini Nazir Shloshim Yom V'Yom Echad. But if he separates the terms, I am a Nazir for 30 days and 1 day. So Kevan to Amar Lishna Yisera, since he said this extra language, have a Nazir Shtayim, that actually means 2 separate terms of Nazirus. As the Gemara will explain, the Rav Savar like Rabbi Akiva. Rav holds like Rabbi Akiva, the Darish Lishna Yisera, who in general will darshan when people use extra language, will darshan that. The Tanan, as the Mishnah says, Hamocher Bais Lechaver V'Hayelo Sham Bor V'Dos. Let's say a person sells a house to his friend, and there's a pit over there, there's a cistern over there. So Lo Machar Sabor V'Yasados. So we say it's not considered that he included the bor and the dos. Afal Pisha Kasav Lo Umka V'Rumo. Even though he said the depths and the height of the house seems to be he included everything, but if he doesn't include those explicitly, they are not included. As the Gemara now continues, Rav Savar like Rabbi Akiva, again, like Rashi said, Rav holds like Rabbi Akiva, the Darish Lishna Yisera, who darshans the extra language, the Tanan, as we learned in a Mishnah. Lo es habor v'lo es hados, afal pi shekasav lo umka v'ruma. Again, a person sells a house, it does not include the bor and the dos, even though he wrote its depths and its heights. V'tzarech likach lo derech. And according to Rabbi Akiva, the seller has to purchase for himself a pathway. He still retains the bor and the dos, but if he wants a path to get to the bor and the dos, he has to purchase that path. Divrei Rabbi Akiva, that's Rabbi Akiva's opinion. And the Chachamim say there's no need for him to purchase a path. Umoder Rabbi Akiva, but Rabbi Akiva admits, Bizman sha'amar lo, if he says to him, Chutz me'elu, except for these things, meaning I'm selling you the house, except for the bor and the dos, which he didn't have to say, that's the extra language. So then again, Rabbi Akiva darshans the extra language and assumes that it means, She'eno tzarech likach lo derech, that there's no need for him to purchase a pathway to the bor and the dos. That extra language meant to say, not only am I keeping the bor and the dos, I'm keeping the pathway as well. As Rashi here continues with Tzarech lo lemocher likach lo derech, again, the mocher needs to purchase for himself a pathway according to Rabbi Akiva. Leilech lebor v'dos, to walk to the bor and the dos shalo, or yifrach ba'aver, otherwise he has to fly. Divrei Rabbi Akiva, that's Rabbi Akiva's opinion. The point is, Rabbi Akiva says, when a person sells generously, and he doesn't retain for himself a derech, unless he states that explicitly. The Chachamim say, no, if he's already retaining the bor and the dos, he's retaining the pathway as well, automatically. We say, just like he left for himself the bor and the dos, he also left for himself the pathway. And again, Rabbi Akiva says, Bizman shamar lo mocher beferish chutz me'elu bor v'dos, that if the mocher says explicitly that I'm not selling you the bor and the dos, meaning to say he says something that didn't need to be said, it's an extra language. So kevan damar lishni yaseira, since he said that extra language, to afilu lo amar chutz lo havim mechurin, because had he not said chutz, also they wouldn't have been sold. Lo achi amar chutz l'shayir lo esaderech. So the chutz, we darshan it, we assume that it means that he's leaving for himself a pathway. That's the same thing that Rav is saying over here. If the person says shloshim yom avi yom echad using an extra language, we assume that the extra language meant something. And what does it mean? It means 2 terms of Nazirus. We'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Ches Amud Aleph.